All right, so this person's saying that minimum wage doesn't have to be a living wage because it's never been easier to learn a trade. Because you can pay $200 for a Chromebook and then learn something that can pay you well above minimum wage. So first off, how are you going to get the Chromebook if you can't afford to stay alive? But second, I think we all agree as a society that those jobs need to be there. Somebody needs to be behind the counter at those jobs, right? If you drive up to a fast food place, there should be somebody helping you get your food, right? If you go up to a gas station, same thing. If you go to a retail place, same thing. If you go to a car wash that has a car wash operator, that operator needs to be there in order for people to get cars washed. Dollar stores, movie theaters, etc. What happens to the people that inevitably have to have those jobs? Let's say you're right. The person that you're talking to buys a Chromebook and goes to work at a different place. And then the next person and the next person. Well, that job has to be occupied by somebody. So what happens to the person who works there? Should they be able to stay alive? Because those jobs have to be filled, right? After the pandemic, when everyone's saying nobody wants to work anymore, this is the job. What happens to the person who's working those jobs? Should the person who inevitably takes that job be able to stay alive? Do you honestly believe that that person should be punished because they were poor enough and desperate enough to take that job? Do you think that because that person is poor and desperate, that they should not be allowed to eat and pay rent? Because that's what you're saying here. When you're saying just get another job, you're saying that the person who ends up with that job doesn't deserve food, or rent, or transportation, or health, or safety. And if you're saying live with your parents, not all people have supportive parents. Sure, I know that you're going to say, that's the parents' fault. Cool. It doesn't matter. It's not the kid's fault, is it? So, should that kid be able to stay alive? And here, even if it is the kid's job, let's say that kid made mistakes and got kicked out or something. Doesn't matter. Even if it is that person's fault, that person should still be able to stay alive. It doesn't matter who you are. If you work a full-time job, you should be able to stay alive. Sure, other jobs will pay better, but the person who works those low-paying minimum jobs because they have to should be able to stay alive.